Hello, welcome to today's class. Today we're going to be working on our coordination, and that's a fancy way of saying our brain's ability to enact certain things at a certain speed and in a certain cadence. So it's all about getting our brain to use our body more efficiently. When we're moving more efficiently, we're feeling better overall. So thanks so much for joining us today. My name is Brenton. I'm here with my compadre Ollie, short for Oliver, if you didn't know. And we'll each be doing our own version of the practice. And so hopefully you watching at home will get to see a couple of different variations, and then you will feel very welcome to explore and experiment on your own, because we always want you to feel welcome to move on your own. So let's go ahead and get started on our back. Take your time to come on down and move around in any way that feels good. So the first thing we want our brain to be able to do is fire motor commands to our muscles. And we want to be able to turn on our muscles in a different order. That's the word I'm looking for, a different order from each other. So the first muscle area we want our brain to have really strong motor connection to is our glutes. These are big stabilizers and movers of our pelvis. They support all the structures below and above them. So now we're gonna, before we lift up into bridge, why don't we stretch the legs straight and take your hands onto the front of the pelvis and give it a little hug down to the floor so you feel your navel go down. Now see if you can squeeze and ramp up your butt muscles as if you wanted to lift your pelvis up an inch. And now see if you can slowly release them, pancaking them into the floor. And slowly build up a contraction, squeezing, and slowly letting it go. Do this 2 or 3 more times. And as you do this, notice what else around your butt is also working. So you might feel your thighs, maybe your hamstrings, and try to divorce them as much as possible. So the coordination you're developing is your brain's ability to get the butt and only the butt. You want your brain to have such a good relationship with your butt. Now, we've turned these on. We know what it feels like. The brain is used to using them. So now let's slide the feet closer into the hips. When you feel ready from here, you're going to activate the glutes again to lift the pelvis up off the mat a few inches. It's not going to be very high. When you get up here, spend a few moments moving around, feeling the pose, and breathing nice and slow and deep. To get the glutes to really feel it, let's begin pulsing in the air, using the feet, little pulses, and we want the low back and the knees to feel good the whole time, because the low back and the knees are on either side of the butt, so you want to get your butt coordinated in a way that's going to support the structures above and below it. Now, holding this up here, when you hold a pose, even for like up to a minute, it allows your brain to sort of hit save on that movement pattern. So we want to hold this up and not freak out about it as we now stretch the arms up to the sky and pull back on one set of fingers. So opening up through the forearm. As you do this, take slow, deep breaths in and out up through your nose, nice and low in your belly. Do both hands. Let's go ahead and lower all of this down to the floor. Now that your brain has really good connection to your butt, we're going to turn the emphasis around to the front of the body, another place that your brain wants easy access to. So here, interlock the hands behind the head. Let the head rest into the hands, and the back of the neck grows nice and long. We're going to staple the belly button down to the floor and lift the chest up any amount, not using the neck. So get rid of that coordination. If your brain is trying to go there first, you can even kind of nod your head out. And instead, put the motor command right into that belly. Like all of the stuff in your belly is pulling you down to the floor so that you can get an equal and opposite lift with the chest. Now still breathe into that space. You're using the muscles, but you're breathing as well. So that's a coordination in and of itself. Go ahead and return that back down to the floor. If you're ready to feel that a different way, maybe take your knees up over your hips with your legs active, like you were squeezing a block between them. And now feel your belly work the same way as you lift up off the shoulder blades. So you're really stapled down in the core. Get your head nice and soft into your hands and breathe. Good. And you can feel that shake, and the shake is good. It's okay. Okay, come on down. That in-between time is just for you to soak it all in and really release and relax. I'm going to keep my feet on the ground for this next one because we're going to light up different layers of the front of the abdomen, but you can use your legs however you like it. As you're ready, lift up off the shoulder blades, head nice and soft into the hands. Staple your belly down to the floor, and now we're going to get into some different layers as you turn an inch to the left with the chest. So feeling yourself hug in at the side, turn from the ribs and not the neck. Come back through center, lift up by stapling that belly down, and then return to the floor. Come on up. One last time. Head nice and soft into the hands. Option to turn an inch or so to the right, really hugging in at the side, turning from the ribs. As you feel ready, come back through center, lift up. Come all the way down. You did it. Good job. Release and relax. Feel how turned on and taut that whole belly is here, right? So let's draw the knees into the belly and see if we can use that to our advantage to rock and roll up the length of the spine. So you're coordinating yourself, a little rock and roll, and you want to tuck yourself into a little package so that you can kind of keep your shape. As you feel ready, we're going to come up. And when you come up, cross one leg underneath you and see if you can come up and reach forward. And then we're going to slide the pelvis back down, roll back. This time, cross the other foot, reach forward, sit the hips down, roll back. And we'll do this a couple more times on each side. All right, let's call this one our last one, and then we'll roll over onto our hands and move around on all fours in any way that's going to feel good to you. You might enjoy some cat-cows or maybe a child's pose to kind of debrief from all of that movement. As you feel ready, we'll get the brain turning on the upper core in the shoulders. So the elbows come down underneath the shoulders, hands wide or clasped for dolphin. Tuck the toes under in your own time and contract the muscles of your arms and shoulders when you lift the knees up off the floor. And so let's coordinate that. Tap the knees back down. Keep your core engaged. Imagine like you were just holding it in the curl, lifting up, but your spine is straight. It's not in the curl anymore. Coming down. Doing this a few times. Let's hold our dolphin the same way that we held our bridge pose. So breathe, soften your jaw and your tongue. And let your brain fire these motor commands. Okay, same way you just did. Take the knees back down to the floor. Good job. Really feeling that heat build up into the arms. That's good. And we'll take the palms down onto the floor and get the wrists light by tipping the weight more into the fingers. Tuck the toes under, hover up off of the knees, try to hold that tabletop position. So you're maintaining coordination as the knees lift, tap the knees back down to the floor. Do that a couple of times here, trying to hold the shape the whole time. This next time, knees up, hips up and back, downward facing dog. Move around in any way that's gonna feel good to you. Relax through the head and neck. And now let's see, ground the weight into both heels as you push off one hand, walk it back. Push off the other hand, walk it back, all the way back to the feet. And now rock the weight forward and backward into your feet. Maybe your hands are touching the floor, but maybe that's too far away for you. So instead you might opt for putting them up onto a bench in front of you of some sort, or elbows on your knees. And then bend the knees, scoop the tailbone, slowly curl your way all the way up to stand. And hands onto the hips here. Pull the pelvis right back over the heels so that when your pelvis comes over the heels, you can lift your toes up off the floor. And if this feels different or impossible for you, it's a place you know you need to spend a little bit more time so your brain can coordinate. Because this is where the body's weight likes to be held, right over the heel bone. And then you get yourself nice and lifted up over the pelvis with your ribs, and then your head pulls right on top of that. Now seeing here, we're gonna simply walk forward, striking the left heel down to the floor, transferring the weight into the forefoot, and as that happens, lift your right heel up. So you're still on your toes, but the rest of the foot is off the ground. Walk that foot forward, strike the heel first. The toes point forward here, so notice if you're pointing out at all. And then come onto the back toes, stretching the sole of the foot there, continuing to walk until you come all the way to the top of the mat. When you come to the top of the mat, back your pelvis up over your heels, and now reach the arms all the way up to the sky. As you feel ready, hands onto the pelvis here. We want to coordinate movement at the hips, not at your spine. So you keep your spine in position as you soften a bend in the knees. That makes the hips more accessible. And then hinging the pelvis forward over the legs evenly to take you down. Ground the hands down to the floor. We're going to move the feet back towards downward facing dog position. Feel that pose. As we feel ready, shift the shoulders forward over the wrists, plank pose. Maybe reset your feet there and breathe. Even holding a position is coordinating because your brain is figuring out how to manage this. Who are the major players? We turned on the butt. We turned on the core and on the shoulders, so use all of that here. Tap the knees down to the floor, bend the elbows, keep the shoulders lifting as you come down. As you feel ready, slide the hands back with tented fingers, where the fingers are pointing to the back of the mat. Really feel the front abdomen plug up to the back, and now lift the right foot and knee off the ground any amount. Do this with your butt. Hopefully it's already turned on for you there. And then same thing with the left side. Pick that side up. Now keep yourself really held together on the front of the body. Grip the fingers and push the hands into the floor to lift the chest any amount. On the front of the body, feel plugged in. The more you feel plugged in there, the longer you should feel through the spine, less pinching. So we always want to coordinate positions that feel good. Take the top of the feet down, slide the hands underneath the elbows here. Stay organized as you push up to the knees. Tuck the toes, keep your spine long, hinge at your hips as you go up and back, down dog. In this downward facing dog receive, we can keep the body still, lift the right foot off the ground any amount. Take the right foot back down to the floor. This time lift the left foot out to the side any amount, not changing the pelvis. Left foot in. Right foot up behind us, one-legged dog. Foot taps down, left foot out and in. So there's our little coordinated movement Trying to hold the shoulders and the torso nice and still the whole time. Good job. Here we go. Last one, you pull in, downward facing dog. Push off your finger pads to walk all the way back to your feet. Ground through your tailbone. Slowly scoop your way all the way up to stand. Pelvis backs up over the heels as you reach the arms. Taking the hands down to the hips, we'll walk forward, stepping the right foot heel, forefoot, back toes. Left heel, forefoot, back toes. Right heel, forefoot, back toes. Step forward. So you're coordinating the gait pattern. Reach all the way out and up to the sky. As you feel ready, hold the shape of your spine. Hinge forward over the leg bones. Good. Ground down through the hands. Step the feet back, downward facing dog. Find that position first. Breathe. The shape of your spine is the same here as it is in plank. So see if you can shift forward. And does the spine have to change at all? Maybe it's yes, and that's okay. You're just collecting information. But take your time here to coordinate the big muscles surrounding the center of the body. Tap the knees down. The heart is in front of the fingernails as you press into the hands and come all the way down. Relax through the top of the feet here. This time we'll slide the arms out like wings. Really anchor through the tailbone and now hover the arms up off the body. So you can do shapes using any number of muscles. The muscles we want to use here are between the shoulder blades on the upper back and the upper side waist. So seeing if you can get those to turn on with a little pulsing action here. Back of the neck nice and long. Good job. As you feel ready, slide the hands underneath the elbows. Keep a sense of that engagement. And now push up to the knees. Tuck the toes. Shift the hips up and back, downward facing dog. This time we're going to pick the left foot up to the sky any amount. It could just be a couple of inches. Left foot taps back down to the floor. Right foot stretches out to the right. Try not to change your pelvis this whole time. Coordination is about relationships between things. So here, your leg and your pelvis. You're trying to keep your pelvis still. Okay, last time, we'll push off the hands one at a time to walk all the way back to the feet. Ground through the heels as you scoop the tail, slowly curling your way all the way up. Reaching the arms all the way up to the sky. Hands down. Set the outer edges of your feet parallel to each other. It's about toes straight. So that's a neutral leg bone. Now we're going to coordinate that. Heel striking first and then rolling off the toes. As you come forward to the very top of the mat, we'll meet there. Back your pelvis up over your heels. Reach your arms all the way out and up to the sky. Soften the hands down in front of the chest. And here, hands on the pelvis. We're going to step the right foot back into a high lunge. So these are going to require all your little stabilizer muscles to hold in. And if you feel shaky, wobbly here, that's them figuring out how to do this reliably for you. So you welcome whatever stage of the process that you're in. As you breathe, you try to make some sense of things. So we're going to open wide and to the side. When you open wide, choose a distance where your feet and ankles feel like they're serving you well. And now we're going to go left and right. I like to use my hands on my pelvis to really feel how it's positioned with the legs, because I know it's been a lot of time not really being mindfully positioned. Here is our coordination sequence. We're going to side lunge over to the right. Not only are we gonna come up, but we're gonna come up to the point that we can pull that right knee up with us. Back the pelvis up over that left heel and get yourself nice and lifted. And now, shuffle to the other side of the mat, step towards the center of the mat, side lunge, push off the standing leg, lift the left knee up. Here we go, shuffle. We're gonna step wide to the center, lift the right knee up, shuffle. Step wide to the left, pull the left knee up, and shuffle. So we got it? Let's do this, let's say 3 more times on each side. And here we're coordinating a lateral step pattern, which is really good for us. And you get to decide how fast you go and how big the movements are. You can even go off your yoga mat. Alrighty, let's go ahead. Side lunge to the right. And now we're gonna push off and step forward. Now we're gonna turn open to face the other side lunge to the left, push off and step forward. So now we're changing the pattern from lateral to front to back. Remember, you can do this much slower and much smaller than you see me and Ollie doing it. You're trying to keep yourself as organized as possible. Your hands are a helper wherever that makes sense. Okay, come forward. Here we go. Same thing. We're gonna keep the weight over the right heel as we step the left foot back. So the front heel still goes down into the floor. And you try to breathe here, even if you're feeling a little out of breath or a little heated. You keep the breath smooth, nice and easy, in and out through your nose. Okay, and holding that position here. Maybe it might be nice to stretch the arms here since we haven't been doing so much with them recently. And now taking the hands together, step the left foot forward. We're gonna step the right foot back, so we're in a high lunge. And now open up to the side, this time heels in, toes out, pelvis nice and upright. And pick a position where you're held together in the front of your body. You're not pushing open, because if you do that, you're not gonna be able to work with your shoulders well. So we wanna work with the shoulders here. That means pelvis upright, ribs stacked, head stacked. And now from here, start with the elbows up, but this is coming from a stable center. And keeping that, arms wide, and feel that you're stretching from right here, like where the arm bone plugs in, to the inner elbow, and then from the inner elbow to the hands. And then see if you can pull the arms back just a little bit, stretching through this tissue up here, not through the front ribs or belly or anything like that. Now, see if you can take the arms towards cactus. And imagine right up here, the head of the arm bone is gonna rotate in the socket to go like so, and then to rotate any amount and go down. Imagine your elbows are staying at the same spot in space. So go ahead, open that back up to the sky. Really imagine it's right here that the movement is happening, because your hands could lead this. They would love to lead it for you, but you don't want that. You want shoulders. Let's just do this one more time. And then bringing the hands behind the head, press down, lift towards straight legs, maybe shimmy the pelvis a little bit left to right. Feel your butt grip onto the pelvis. You feel it as a controller. And now turn forward, hands to hips, step the back foot in, back your pelvis up over your heels, and then stretch and reach the arms all the way up. As you feel ready, hinge forward over the legs, holding the shape in the spine. Hands down to the floor. We'll move the feet back towards downward facing dog. Here, let's shift the shoulders forward, tap the knees down to the floor. And if you'd like to do anything on hands and knees, please be my guest. You can take a rest in a child's pose or move around a bit. In fact, let's all kind of take a moment to take any final stretches that might feel good for you today. So if that's a seated fold or stretch of some sort, that might be nice. We haven't done a whole lot of twisting other than the beginning of class, so you might like a twist too. And when you feel ready to be on your back, you can come down to your back. Before we get set up in Shavasana, I'd like to say a quick thank you to all of the people who donate to us. And that is one of the main reasons why we're able to produce our content for free on YouTube. So it totally makes our day. We love it. Thank you so much to everybody who's reached out and supported us so far. And if you would like to be one of those people, go ahead and go to yogainyourlivingroom.com. And there's a donation page. And thank you so much for the consideration. We really, really appreciate it. Go ahead and find a nice position to rest in. And if you are not comfortable, in my mind, the best thing to do is to keep adjusting so you learn more about what it is that makes you uncomfortable and what it is that makes you comfortable. That can be a nice thing to learn during this time. Before you start moving, send your attention into the walls of your skin so you can feel all of your skin on your body. And now imagine that your skin is fading into the thing that it's touching. Your skin is fading into your clothes and fading into the air around you, so that the boundary between your body and the room becomes a little bit blurry to you. You're not quite sure where it is. In order to do this, you need to feel very safe. And the feeling of safety activates a certain state in our nervous system. And it's this state that we'd like to have very easy, immediate access to, and we'd like to be in this state as much of the time as possible. So as you begin to move your body now, see if you can elongate how much time you spend here in this state of the nervous system, being very restful. We'll come up to a seated position to do a few minutes of silent sitting to close out our practice. And so as you do that, continue in the same way. Coordination means our brain knows in which order to do things, and that things become more and more organized, our movements become more and more organized, and the organization of it becomes smooth, really smooth, organized way of moving. And very good to work on for our physical tissues and our physical bodies. Also fantastic lesson for any activity or job we have to do off our mats as well. So I wish you all the luck with your physical and psychological coordination. And until next time, be well. We will see you soon.